Empower 11, the best of its kind in a highly transformative time. Are you empowered? Ready to turn your life up to 11? Awaken the life of who you are on the inside to match the life you were meant to live on the outside. Empower 11. Now is your time.
Power 11 Radio. Greetings and welcome to Empower 11 Radio. This is the live 1-hour show all about empowering you. And for more information about Empower 11, go to empower11.com. That is empower, the number 11.com. And always keep that feedback coming at info@empower11.com. You can catch our show with the Spreaker app on your smartphone, whether it be an iPhone or an Android. You can download the free app, and you can always catch us on iTunes as our shows are
archived.
Thank you, Ann. On iTunes, so you can check that out. And speaking of iTunes, we also have the Empower Wealth album available. That it is a powerful set of inspirational and meditational audios that can really help empower wealth in your life. You can get that on iTunes now, and also you can get it on Amazon, both downloadable and physical from Amazon. So if you want the actual CD sent to you, you can go to Amazon, check out the Empower Wealth album, and be sure to check us out on Facebook.
Like us.
Yes.
To stay in the loop.
Empower11, or Facebook.com/Empower11. And also, you can go to empower11.com and download a free audio that is now available for you to check out. So make sure you go and do that. I am Jack Voorhees, and I am here today with my beautiful and talented and amazing life partner, Ann Ribley. Hi, Ann. How do you sleep?
Sleeping my way to the top, baby.
Because that's the title of our show today is Sleep Your Way to the Top, and it's how you can become empowered through the power of sleep. And that is like it's actually a much bigger issue when I started, where Ann and I started looking into this. I mean, we've always known that it's something of great power that we've used in our life, but it wasn't until we started, doing some more research for the show that we found out what a big issue it really is out there. And in today's society, we tend to have this pride of like our lack of sleep. How little we sleep is like, for men, it's like something about their masculinity. It's something about the ego that we pride ourselves. Oh yeah, I only got 4 hours sleep last night, or I only got 5 hours sleep like last night. Is like that we're taking a sense of pride in that. And that's a societal issue that I think a lot of Americans have, and Europeans in different cultures have different expectations about that. But Ann, what do you have to say about the power of sleep?
Well, I feel like I really got, where I knew a lot more, it became really apparent to me the issue when I had my kids. And I started learning more about how fundamental and powerful sleep is with how we form ourselves as human beings. And it's overlooked how this, and that's what came to light when you and I were doing doing some of this research is how chronic this issue is through a long-term pattern by most adults not getting enough sleep and the effect it's going to have on their lives. Stay tuned. I promise you, this show will have something insightful and really a strong aha for you on ways that you can become basically on top of your game through the power of sleep, understanding it better for yourself, if you have children, for your children. So I feel like we have a lot of good information to go over. That's, there's the part of sleep that seems like the method part. It's like, here's the method to get sleep, even with kids and stuff. But what I like to talk about is the fundamental model of nature and truth, because then that can translate into wherever we're all at in our lives and assimilate, so that then we find our own ways and means that match up so we can make the changes we need to make.
Yeah, this lack of sleep, it affects your physical well-being, your health of who you are. It affects your emotional aspect, your spiritual condition. It's such a really big issue. AAA came out with a study about people falling asleep behind the wheel. And the statistics are pretty staggering. That 1 out of 6 fatalities is linked to dozing off while driving, and 41% of people admit to having fallen asleep behind the wheel or dozed off, and 32% admit that they've done this in the last 60 days. So this is a real, a real powerful issue, but it's not just about these big, we got these big issues or
catastrophic. It's not about the catastrophic effects, because it's happening on such a little minor scale that then is adding up to have a catastrophic effect at some point in our lives.
Mm-hmm. And I really cherish my sleep. I know that it's important for my spiritual condition, my physical condition, and Ann and I both have similar views on how we go to sleep, how we end our evenings, how we wake up, how we start our day. There's the how our actual bedroom is set up. There's a lot of aspects to how we get ourselves into this really good state of sleep and rest, so that we can be our most empowered and live our most empowered life.
Well, it's interesting, Jack, when you talk about even how our bedroom's set up, which we'll go into that further. But I remember years ago, there's 2 things I want to say that really opened my eyes to the power of sleep. One was when my first son was born, and he naturally, any mom will tell you this, when you naturally get a baby who is like a good sleeper and kind of has that biorhythm right, their days and nights right, and you're pretty much starting out where they're getting pretty good sleep right away, that how it makes all the difference for a new mother than being up all night with a newborn baby. So, I felt like it was really, I had my first son, my first baby born, I felt like it was pretty relatively easy in the very beginning. Well, then what happened was, is somewhere around the time he was a little after 7 weeks, and I was getting long stretches where he was sleeping 6 to 7 hours. And this is where they say that even newborns are capable of doing those long stretches like that, because that's what their body needs. It's just synchronizing with it. And he naturally came synchronized with that. Then all of a sudden, he started waking up numerous times during the night. So it felt like I was going backwards. And then sometimes it was, he was and he wasn't. So I felt like, what am I doing right some of the times? And what am I doing that's off? That why he's waking up and his sleep is more disturbed. So I bought all kinds of books. I was like totally reading, because I'm a seeker in life. I like to seek for the answers and know how to do things better. So I read all these different books. And the one book that was really eye-opening and life-changing for me was by this pediatrician. His name is Dr. Mark Weisbluth, and he wrote a book called Healthy Sleep Habits, Happy Child. Now, one of the things that was really, there's a lot I could say that I learned and is the cornerstone to how I understand the imperativeness of sleep in small children and in ourselves. And one of the things he talked about is that we have our own biorhythms, and when we're not synchronizing ourselves with it, when sleep is welcoming us and we honor it, what happens is we naturally go to sleep easy. And that's what he translated like with these small children and with babies is you notice for the first sign of sleepiness, because what happens is people are in this misconception, even as adults, that they think, well, if I get myself overtired, I'm going to sleep better. And the opposite happens, because what happens is that it based into our fight or flight survival built-in mechanism that's part of this divine plan of God's for us to survive. Now, if you go back to more of the primitive time, and we had to seek shelter or safety, and we didn't have time to lay down and sleep if our life was going to be in jeopardy. We needed our body to kick in that adrenaline to keep us going. And that is what happens with small children, even babies, when we get them overtired. That natural flight or flight kicks in, adrenaline starts pumping through the body, which is it's a stress.
Yeah, I can relate. I mean, I think many people can relate to being in a state where they're just like so tired, but yet they can't go to sleep. Because
the body has already kicked in adrenaline and this stress receptor in order to keep us going.
You talk about these windows.
The windows we have these natural biorhythms where our body will welcome sleep the most. And if we go and we honor sleep during those windows, that's when we have the easiest time falling asleep and the best time to getting the most restful sleep. So that was a big turning point that I really started to understand. And then not only that, he talked about, even for us adults, now we can see it easy and it's talked about so much with children, but he talked about how hyperactivity, attention deficit disorders actually start to get hardwired in children. Because when we are well rested, now I'm giving this example to children, but this translates for us as adults. It's just more imperative when their bodies are being wired to understand this, is that when we are well rested, we are capable of absorbing our environment. We have the attention to pay attention. When we have lack of sleep, our attention span goes low. And so that's what starts to happen with children. If early on they're not getting good quality sleep, that becomes momentous in their life. And that if they chronically get less sleep, they're constantly getting into a state where their body is wired with this extra stress and adrenaline pumping through them, and their attention span is diminishing, and they become hardwired with a shorter attention span. And that's where he's amazing, this pediatrician, because he talks about how people come to him all the time in his practice, and he always prescribes sleep for actually some improving learning disabilities with children, actually improving attention deficit disorder, hyperactivity. It's kind of amazing to think that, some of the basic things that we really need to heal ourselves are already God-given to us.
Yeah, and I can understand how we can get into some of these patterns as children, and they can just carry on as into adulthood. Now, these physical issues that have been linked to lack of sleep. I mean, I was kind of surprised to find out like weight loss was weight gain was linked to lack of sleep.
Well, that comes back down to that stress that gets adrenaline and the stress that gets pumped through our body. It actually affects our biochemistry. So if we feel like somehow our life is being threatened, this is where the biochemistry changes in order to preserve us, which would also include weight gain for our own survival.
So what other kind of physical, I know that it's disease, diabetes, things like that have been, are things that are not necessarily caused by, but really affected by lack of sleep.
Well, I want to talk about now, like all these different these diseases that happen. such as Alzheimer's and dementia and diseases like that onset in the later end of life, because I've talked about the earlier on how important it is with what's being formed. Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz is she has a doctorate in neuroscience, and she's a medical doctor that's a big advocate that teaches so much about sleep. And she really opened up my eyes to how chronic sleep deprivation actually lends itself to being a precursor to memory diseases later in life. So, and it's like what she explained is that we need our dreams. Like there's a lot of theories on why we need to dream, but she explained why we need our dreams and why we need to sleep deep enough to dream is because that is actually like our brain is like a computer. And this is when not only our brain but our bodies, this is when we're doing our most healing, is when we're sleeping. This is when the deepest restorative healing and rejuvenation is happening for our bodies. Now, when we take our brains, actually, what's happening is it's just like a computer. It's got all these files and memories and things that have occurred during the day. And dreams are actually a way that our brain is putting, our subconscious mind is putting order to our memories. And they're not all random. And so it's like a computer. When all the files are just all over the place and bogging down the system, eventually through time, if we never give it time to reorder, reformat, what happens is it loses its efficiency. And so she explained that having deep sleep where you're having your dreams is a part of keeping a sharp mind.
I could see that, like how you could like consistently, if that's something consistent, if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not getting the proper kind of sleep, then after time, day after day after year, I can understand how that when you get into your elder years, that things just aren't gonna run right.
Yeah, so now you've set the precursors to be able to be susceptible to those kind of memory diseases that happen.
Okay, so we also have high blood pressure and diabetes and the blood sugars and I know that when you're not sleeping well, you're not giving your body the time to repair itself. I know that when you sleep is the time where your cells go into its most productive fixing, repairing of cells.
And you know why that is?
Why?
It's because
I think I knew, but I forgot because I think my Alzheimer's might be because I'm not getting enough sleep.
No, it's because during the day we're so busy utilizing so many facets to who we are, digesting food, walking around, interacting, thinking, that when we're sleeping, that's the stillest. That's how important it even comes back to the things we've talked about with meditation. When we get still, this is when the body gets still, it's able to focus and get into that deep rejuvenating healing time because it's not doing all these other functions.
Yeah, I know. In hospitals, they actually induce coma because somebody can repair themselves better, like these burn victims and stuff. When they're severely burned, they know to that's not good for them to wake up right away. They know that they can, heal themselves quicker if they stay in a state of sleep.
Yeah, that's why sleep your way to the top of your game. Empower your life. Get one with who you are on the inside to match the life you want to live on the outside. And I know sleep is such a big part. Now, how do people get themselves into these really bad habits of not sleeping well?
Yeah, I think there's some lack of worthiness. That they feel like they have to sacrifice themselves in order for the good of the family or whatever. But I know that the better you are for you, the better you are for others.
Yeah, I think when you talk about worthiness, I do think that people have misused ways to be validated for the hard work they put into their lives. And they use a lot of chronic complaining of being tired. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I knew that I this one mother that I knew, when my son was out doing auditions and stuff, we would run into her, and she always had the same story. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I was just so tired of running into her to hear the story about how tired she was. I thought to myself, my God, how much does this kid have to listen to this when he's with his mom? I mean, it's like, what kind of example are we even staging for our children to constantly talk about how tired we are? We're tired of life is really on some sort of message that we're carrying with us.
And trying to induce sympathy and, hey, look at me, look how hard I work, look at, how much I sacrifice, I'm a good soldier.
There's just so much better ways that we can get the love that we want in our lives by empowering ourselves. And it isn't through the chronic complaining. So I want to talk about, like, how do people get in these bad habits? Like, I know a lot of it's like people fall asleep to the TV. That's a very bad habit. People fall asleep on the couch.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do to reshift and all that, and we're going to get more into that later. But I mean, these are habits, and habits can be broken. Habits can be changed. I mean, if you can get a heroin addict to change their patterns, then you can obviously change the patterns in your own life. And it's amazing what little things you can do that can add up into the big things. But this price for lack of sleep. I mean, the emotional drain. That when you are tired, you are usually not at your emotionally best. Emotions can take over you.
This is when people have more, they can get angered really easy. Mm-hmm. They can get irritated, agitated, actually have more anxiety.
Oh yeah. People that are tired are much more anxious. And actually, they take on more bad habits. I mean, it's shown that people that with their lack of sleep causes them to take other bad habits. To try to combat this, like drinking lots of caffeinated products, lots of sodas, and and I went through a stage in my own life. I mean, I was the diet Dr. Pepper guy, man. I was drinking those things like crazy, and
it's
to
hard
try
to
keep myself awake.
You're nothing like that now, Jack. You're so much more about vitality.
Yeah, well, I had kind of a huge spiritual shift and stuff that I did when I turned 32, and I got sober, and I got into the recovery program, and it's like a new life. It was, so for the last 14 and a half years of living a sober life have really allowed me to become awake and purposeful in my life and heal my spiritual condition. But I had lots of bad habits and stuff, and lack of sleep was definitely one of them. And it's basically like when we start to repair our spiritual condition and stuff, like just healthy just starts happening more and more in our lives if we're really working a spiritual program. I mean, things that I didn't even wish to have like healed in my life. I wasn't like consciously deciding like, hey, I don't want to bite my nails anymore. That's a bad habit. I don't want to, I wasn't even thinking of that. But then I realized that, wow, I don't bite my nails anymore, and that was something that I did. I constantly bit my nails from a young child to about age 33 or 34. When after working a spiritual program, how those kind of things just start to get lifted.
Well, that, when you talk about people that are not getting enough sleep and then overcompensating with all these other bad habits, what they're doing as well is disrupting your body's ability to have its own natural balance to the world. And so all this jittery energy, this energy that is got that anxiousness to it, this is what perpetuates. Now, it could be biting your nails, but it could be also a whole range of other like form of neurosis of how we conduct ourselves, where it's that unclaimed nervousness about life because we're not at peace.
Right, right. So, then the other thing is that the way that lack of sleep costs us is with all the mistakes that we make because we aren't at our sharpest. We talked about the driving stuff, and that's pretty crazy. I mean, 100,000 crashes a year in America caused by drowsiness. But on the job stuff too, people are not as productive. In other countries, they like even have times where they stop and people take naps, and we're going to go over a little bit of that later. But I know a person, a guy I knew that he fell asleep at work or passed out at work. He crushed his hand in a piece of machinery, and they kept trying. He kept saying, "I don't know what's wrong with me." They're trying to figure out what's wrong with me, and then later it came out that the guy was staying up all night watching TV, and he wasn't sleeping. He would like fall asleep a little bit watching TV on the couch, and then he'd wake up, and then he'd fall asleep, and then he'd wake up, and it was so unhealthy the day after day after day
Broken
of doing
sleep.
that.
People don't understand that how detrimental broken sleep through time. I mean, you see it with kids, let alone like now. How does that translate to us when we have all these ways that we can distract and mask it in our adult lives? But broken sleep leads to things getting broke in our lives, in parts of us getting broke. It really does. Now, I like to play this game before we take our commercial break. Is like when you talk about being sharp, Jack, and so I always like to play this game like, what if someone walked up to you today and they had $1 million contract to come up with some sort of brilliant idea that's in your niche of expertise? So they're going to pay you $1 million contract, and all you got to do is come up with this really awesome, brilliant idea that is within your niche, the things that you're naturally gifted and talented with. Now, how would you take on that challenge? I mean, how would you be honoring your life? How would you be honoring your body? I mean, would you make sure, like, a lot of times people think, well, yeah, once that happens, then I'm going to really start taking care of myself. I'm going to get good sleep. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to start eating healthy. And all of these pieces, the thing of it is that all of these pieces, when we start doing it, that's when life presents back to us those opportunities of game on. So if we're going to play this game where you're going to, like, someone's going to offer you $1 million contract to come up with this brilliant idea in your niche of expertise, and you had like a certain amount of time in order to get this done, how would you use that time? Well, you would make sure you're doing those things that are supportive to have game on to come up with that brilliant idea, which would include being sharp in the mind and getting well rested to be sharp in the mind.
Yeah. Good stuff here. Good stuff. We have more good stuff coming. We're going to talk about what good sleep will help you do, and we're going to give you some how-tos. How to get in that place where you're getting the most from your sleep. So we're going to take this quick commercial break and give some props to Spreaker, which is the platform that we're coming to you on, and we will be right back. All right, we're back. Welcome back to Empower 11 Radio. We have about 30 minutes left of the show. We want to encourage you to go to empower11.com, download the free audio, check us out on iTunes, check out our Empower Wealth album. The Empower Wealth album, it really is powerful, and I really encourage you to go and get your copy right away.
Well, I have a story real quick that I got a testimonial from someone who has been using it recently for 60 days consecutively, the Wealth Mantra Meditation. And what was awesome is that she reported to me that it really shifted the stabilization in her family's financial life, because an opportunity came that added to their income consistently an amount of money that was more than their mortgage, more than what their house payment is.
Wow. Yeah, and so many of these testimonials are coming in, and it just makes us really want to get this in the hands of everybody. So, everybody who's listening right now, go and check it out. Get your copy. Tell your friends. It's a great gift. You can gift it through iTunes and stuff, and just make sure you really just give it a shot and embrace it, because it definitely works. We would not put our name on it if it did not have this higher quality, this really good results, and we know that it can work for you.
It's an adjustment in consciousness on wealth. It's really orientating ourselves to that wealthy part of our lives.
All right. So, what does getting the good sleep help with? I mean, where's the power? What is the power that you getting into the finest rest that you can have is going to give you?
Well, this is going to empower you at 11 in your life. This is where you're going to sleep your way to the top.
Right. I mean, just the more energy and just the being in a proper high vibrational state of being. I mean, that just allows this energy to just flow through. When you can smoothly move through your life and be a powerful attraction magnet, because you are vibrating in this really good high frequency that's really attractive, things will be drawn upon to you.
Yeah, because I like to look at sleep like not as if it's like this body function we must do, but as a place where we truly are infusing the power of God in us. I mean, I would look at a lot of times when my kids would be little and they'd be, well, even now, and they would be like when they were, especially when they were toddlers, and I would look at them just totally cranky and out of sorts with themselves. And I just would know, once I put them to bed, that the infusion of this power of God re-energizes them, and they wake up as total different human beings. And that's the gift that we can give ourselves at any age. I mean, it's like there's such a big draw on right now to all these ways that we can help ourselves in anti-aging. Because what's the point of allowing ourselves to break down quicker than necessary? That's the whole point of anti-aging, is that we want to preserve and be restorative with who we are and this vehicle that we have, which is our body, which is our mind, which is the way we can interact with the world. So yeah, anti-aging is important, because it's like we don't want to break ourselves down quicker than necessary. And sleep is such a critical part of anti-aging, because number one, it reduces that stress hormone that can get pumped through our bodies consistently and regularly, which breaks us down health-wise. It also has, people who don't get enough rest, you can see it in their eyes. Someone who is well rested, you can see that in their eyes. There's so much more light. There's that power of the divine that sparks on through them when they've gotten good rest. So it helps in the anti-aging area so much. And that's important, because that's about honoring our life, honoring who we are.
Yeah, when you were talking about when your children sleep, I mean, I would watch my son sleep when he was little, and just that peacefulness, it just the look on their face. I mean, just this just absolute peace, and in this kind of God state. I mean, it is just I would just get so much joy just from watching him. And I would come home from whatever I was doing and stuff, and I would come home and I would lay down on the couch and put my son on my chest and let him sleep on my chest, and he would drool, and the drool would be going down my neck, and just like to drive me crazy, but I would not move because I wouldn't want to disturb this beautiful state of sleep.
Well, it's funny, Jack, that you say that, because my sister said to me when I first started having my kids, she goes, you'll never get tired of seeing them sleep. And it was so true. They'll always look like your little angels.
So you're talking about this anti-aging, and I know that when we sleep, our bodies go into this cell repair that we talked about earlier. But studies have shown that I was looking up recently that we're saying that there's reduced wrinkles in our faces because we're at this more relaxed state in our facial function. We're not engaging those muscles as much, and people that get more sleep have less wrinkles. So not only the anti-aging to how our bodies are, but the icing on our cake, our appearance.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
Well, you think about, too, Jack, you're talking about how that's the time our body's going to cellular repair. I mean, how important is that? Even in the prevention of cancer, because if our bodies are having the proper time to have proper cellular repair, it also sets the stage to be an anti-aging, an anti-cancer, all these things that are degenerative to the body.
And I forgot to mention this earlier, but they also showed that half of all teens are not getting enough sleep, and that's affecting them in their academics and all this behavioral. And it's such an important time. Our teens are, when we talked about getting into those bad habits and stuff. I mean, we're laying down blueprint or a programming of how we're going to continue to live on, and that's your teens at a time where there's a lot being written.
Well, what's crazy is we live in a time right now where we are just super busy. I mean, we're just so busy that we're not honoring ourselves, and the effects are taking place as a result of this. So when you talk about teens, Jack, it's interesting that a lot of teens want to function on the same sleep that, let's say, an adult over 18 needs. And when I was doing all my research and understanding this when my children were small about the importance of sleep and developmental progress with sleep, it was explaining that teens need more sleep than even an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old, which is contrary to what most people would think, because now the level of brain activity that they're using requires more sleep in order to retain and keep this level of energy going for itself. So when you're depleting that, then you're also depleting the ability for them to get the necessary wiring and information all categorized and ordered up properly in their minds during that time frame.
Oh, sure, and then their bodies are ongoing. There's rapid physical changes as well. These growth spurts, these hormones,
emotional and social changes. That's such a critical time. So when I was going through this, it was talking about how actually then there's the infants, and you get young children, and then there's teens, and how teens actually need more sleep than a 10-year-old because of these changes that are taking place.
Right, and sleep helps increase the brain function. It gives the like you were talking about, the computer. It's just time to rest, time to go in sleep mode, where it can do its reformatting. Machinery needs to cool down and stuff like that, and then in this process that we're going to talk about in a little bit is that if you have a machine, you're running this big piece of machinery, you don't just shut it down all at once. It's not a good way to do it. It's got to go into this place where you start slowing it down. You don't have it high rev and then just off. Yeah, that's not the way to run great machinery. I mean, I know this from my manufacturing days and stuff that I worked in so big printing presses and big pieces of machinery that we would allow them to go into this slow down and then turn off.
You can think about that even with our computers, that things burn out so much faster if we're not having even our computers or our screens go into some sort of rest mode.
Mm-hmm. So we talked about we talked about anti-aging. We talked a lot about the healthier people. I mean, healthier people are people that get the proper amount of sleep. What is the proper amount of sleep? And then they're saying 7 to 9 hours.
For adults.
Yes, for adults.
See, kids may need more. I want to talk about this brain function when you're talking about these transitions and machinery working better. My son Cody just got his test scores back, and it was kind of mind-blowing because both my kids are really academically do really well. But his test scores in math were just off the chart. He had 100% in every single category but one where he only got like 1 or 2 wrong. And I really kept thinking about, so much of this, the cornerstone to why I feel my kids do well in school has to do with they call me, I'm a sleep freak as a mom. But that's because...
I was going to mention that. They always say, well, what's your freak factor? Mom's freak factor is the sleep thing. And and as they get older, they always want to stay up later. Like, well, now I'm 11, I should stay up later. Now I'm 12, and as you were talking about, when they get into teens, they actually need more sleep.
Right. And so it's like... when he got his test scores back, and it was funny because all I kept thinking about is because I know it's paying off from the steps that I did from the time they were little about how I know when I read that book about how different learning disorders, behavior disorders, all this stuff comes down to the power of restorative sleep is such a critical factor. And I'm not saying it's it for every single case at all, but I'm saying that its power cannot be overlooked. And I give credit where credit's due. It's like I know that the reason why part of the reason why he scored well on those tests and why he's doing so well, both my kids academically, is I use sleep as my magic weapon for this. I really do.
So you get faster reaction times, not only, physically, but in making decisions and, your brain function. And that makes you more interesting to others. I mean, like, how boring is it to be with somebody who's just sitting there yawning and just and
complaining about how much sleep they didn't get and how tired they are.
Yeah, I was watching this TED Talk, and this woman's talking about sleep, and she was out on this date with this guy who said. He was bragging that he only got 4 hours sleep the night before, and she wanted to say, she didn't say, but she wanted to say to him, this conversation might have been a lot more interesting if you had gotten 5 hours sleep. But imagine if you got 7, she might have been blown away.
Well, I know my kids are so much more enjoyable when they get better sleep.
Oh, especially Cody. Oh my God. That kid doesn't get a good night's sleep. Yeah.
So can you imagine how this translates to us as an adults? I mean, we have more skills in order to work around and kind of muster through the day. But, through time, it pays a price.
Absolutely. So now we are going to get into the how-tos. And I always love how-tos because, you can talk about the problem. And I mean, so many people like to talk about the problems. So I like to talk about the solutions. I like to talk about, not that we're in this place and it would be better if we were in this other place. Okay, well, give us a map then. Let's figure it out. Let's get in the solutions. Let's get in the results business because I want results in my life. I want to see results in other people's lives. That's what really turns me on is to, when we're getting these testimonials and people are saying, hey, I did this and I listened to this thing for 11 days and I got this result. And, hey, I listened to your Empower Now audio, and I got this $20,000 job that came, and stuff like that. And I'm not always saying that what we have, gets us direct results like that. But it's great to hear these testimonials and know that you're playing some part of in empowering somebody else's life.
Well, I mean, everything we do has a direct proportion to how our world's going to be. That's what the Empower 11 stance is. So what we're going to do is we're going to give some practical tips and how-tos and things that we've done in order to get to these place of more restorative power in our life through the power of sleep.
So I'd like to start. I want to start with our bedroom, and it's our bedroom is it's a sanctuary. It is. It is not. It's not full of kids and stuff and things. It's very minimal. I mean, it is our place, our adult place that is our sanctuary, and in this place, I think it's important to set the mood to be very tranquil, very serene. This is not a lot of stimuli. There's no TV in our bedroom, and I know that's like that many people have TVs in their bedroom. And in fact, in my last relationship, she had to have the TV on to go to sleep, and it was just somebody who couldn't get still with themselves, and that is just not a good place. Oh, it drove me crazy to have that thing on, and we don't even watch TV now, but I just believe that electronic. I mean, the bedroom is not a place for a lot of electronics.
So we don't even have them in our kids' rooms, and I want to talk real quick about what was really interesting to me. Like years back, I had a feng shui consultant, and feng shui is the Chinese art of placement and energy in your home and how it relates to your life. And this is when my kids were really small, like maybe 4 and 1.5 or 2, and she came through my house and she went into my boy's bedroom at that time. And he had this really, very boy room with this castle bed, and it was in all the bright primary colors, like that a boy's room would be, like the blue and the red. And the first thing she said is, boys don't need red in their bedrooms at all, because it will affect their ability to sleep. Because boys already have a lot of that yang energy, she was saying, that outgoing energy, so they need the opposite, more of a cooling down. She says, blue is great. But I thought that was really interesting. So, because part of this whole canopy that made up his castle bed was like reds and blues. And she said the blue is fine, but the red's got to go. So, the colors of our room and the pictures that we have on it, and what is the energy that...
Yeah, we have a lot of earth tones. It's very earthy and...
a very soft kind of...
And I don't believe that the bedroom is a place for pictures of people. I think it's like more abstract things. I don't want to see pictures of people we know. I don't.
Well, I definitely think that there should not be anybody else in the room but the people of the room. I mean, that should be your private place. That's where, especially, whether you're coupling or you desire to be coupling, it should symbolize that coupling energy.
You need to tell the story about how Joan went into that one room.
Well, I have a friend who's a professional organizer, and she had went into this. She was working on a job, and she was helping somebody do the bedroom, and they had all these relatives. It was a husband and wife's bedroom, and they had all these relatives from all these different generations, like across the whole wall. And this professional organizer said to the woman, she goes, no, none of these people need to be watching you and your husband making love. None of this energy needs to be in here. And the husband was in the background, like smiling and nodding his head, like, he was so thankful to have this professional organizer there and helping just bring this new kind of...
It's like, oh my God, man, that's like the worst thing. I do not want to be making love with my woman and look over and see her father looking at me. You know what I mean? That's just like...
But it was interesting. Wrong. This woman who does this professional organizing, she was saying it was amazing to her to see how people would keep their bedrooms. And what was interesting is when I first hired her years ago, she went through my whole house and she said, the neatest, most organized and serene room in your whole house is your bedroom. She goes, so this tells me a lot about you, Ann. And it's always stuck with me how she made that comment. And I had small children at that time, and just trying to keep order to this new configuration of my life of having small children. And that's when she had said to me that. So that comes down to is I understand the importance of having your bedroom as a sanctuary, having it be a place that you go to rejuvenate and rest yourself.
So I know, Anne, that you are big on this. You are big on the transition time.
Yes.
And so, I don't know, you like to take a bath at night, you like to put candles on, you like to get into this thing. So into this quiet space, no electronics. So how long have you been doing that for? And what intuitively kind of got you into this place?
I just know that sleep is our time, that's that time where we get infused with the divine, with God, and I don't know it exactly. It just kind of, you think about it. It was just a natural transition. I never wanted a TV in my room, so I never had a TV in my room, and I just always cherished that time to welcome sleep. And so that's why when I had read that book and it talked about with small children, like or just in general, is that there's a time when our bodies will welcome sleep. So it's like inviting it in. So I know when Jack and I first got together and he would come into the bedroom and see me when I was getting ready for bed, I'd have all the keys like, whoa, it's nice in here. It actually would invite my lover in.
Yeah, we have the fire going and candles and yeah, very, very, very nice. And the big, go in the bathroom in the big garden tub and take baths together and stuff. That's a very good way to kind of wind down from the day.
Well, I want to give another practical thing since you're talking about that transition, because Jack, you helped with that instilling a new order. I always knew, like with the kids, when they're young, you read them a story, and then they get older where they're reading them themselves. But we have two boys, and it's like if there isn't this concrete transition time, I mean, their pillows are flying in its romper room with boys, before bed, and so.
Yeah, so I instituted I call it library time. So they have a half hour to read in bed before.
And he calls it library time because it's library manners. It's like that's how
library
we talk.
Voice, and you don't have loud music playing. It's just a kind of time for them to chill out. Now, it'd be nice if they could get into a place where they could just, okay, we could, meditate before you go to bed, or just have some quiet time without the reading, but, they're boys and they have to have something to do.
And I think reading's good. I think reading is a good transition.
Sure. So, and then we set the same time for them. So.
Yes, so they know when to expect. And that's the way biorhythms work. Is that when you kind of start picking the same time and you do this, you allow your body to synchronize to welcome sleep. That's why giving ourselves transition time and being kind of consistent with that time, just picking that time. And I know it's harder when people have, different shifts that they work and stuff like that, but the best you can do is work with what is your schedule and try to come up, especially with like, whether it's children or adults, that's when we give our bodies good succinct biorhythms, where this is the time we're welcoming sleep and we stick with it. Our body just synchronizes so easy with that.
So I have my favorite thing to help with the sleep stuff, and that is more love time. Now, when you go to bed earlier with your mate, you have
your partner,
more time for loving, and loving is important in a lot of different areas, your relationship, but it helps with the sleep when you have just had great love making, then it is great to go into this this wonderful sleep. So we'll make love, and then we'll hold each other in arms and fall asleep. And I just love falling asleep that way, and that's why we make it we make it often.
Yes, we have that transition often, and I really feel a lot of unhappiness in the world and a lot of people's angst and fighting, all that would be reduced if we invited that space where we're in that place of renewal, where we're in that place of connecting, we're in that place of lovemaking with our lover, and we're allowing ourselves to get deep restorative sleep. I mean, I do believe that we have the power to sleep our way to the top of our lives.
And the world needs more love making. I mean, yes, the world would be a better place if everybody would make more love. So I am a huge advocate on lots of love making, and love making during the day as well as night. And some of that love making during the day can turn into power naps.
Yes, so Jack loves power naps too.
And power naps, whether it's with combined with love making or not, power naps are really powerful. And like I said, I think I mentioned earlier, is that in other countries they have it as part of their deal. I mean that's just. Everybody goes in and they take these naps, during work. They take some time, they have a power nap, and then they come back. And the people that have these power naps, they have increased productivity, increased cognitive functioning, better memory function. They're more creative, and they feel less tired. They're not trying to fight this tiredness. They just hey, this 2 o'clock time or this 1 o'clock time comes around, and they go and they take a nap. And that's just, and the thing is, it doesn't have to be like a long nap. There's these 4 stages of sleep, and you want to go over a little bit of the 4 stages?
Well, I know that the first 2 is more when you'll get that short, quick reordering burst of energy, and you won't feel groggy or tired. And if you go into the 3rd stage, which is past like 30 minutes, this is where you get into that more deeper sleep. And if you come out of it too early and it doesn't go through its whole cycle, and then going into the 3rd and 4th stage, that for a nap, I mean, we need these at night, and for a nap, it can really, if we don't get through all the stages, we can kind of feel out of sorts when we wake up.
So 20 minutes average is the best to have for a power nap. Between 10 and 30 minutes will give you the best results, and we encourage you to take that. I mean, that's a really powerful tool to empower yourself. I mean, just think of it, if you can take a few power naps during the week, how that is going to translate into how you can empower your life.
Well, that's why every meditation I create, I like doing a short version and a longer version, so that it makes it easy for people who want to do like this guided meditation for their like power nap meditative state, resetting their consciousness and their presence and their mindset.
All right. So speaking of that, we have not a meditation to end the show with, but we have more of an inspirational audio that Ann did. You want to end the show with our inspirational audio. Ann, why don't you introduce this, and we will end with that and look forward to seeing you on the radio next week.
Yeah. I invite you, wherever you're at, to take a few minutes, allow yourself to be still. Stillness has got so much power. This is what we talked about in today's show, is giving yourself the power of that real restorative stillness with sleep. But I invite you right now to allow some of that stillness and that inner space to come to you, with whether you're working, to just breathe it in, whether you're driving in your car, is just to breathe in the stillness of the power of being able to be on top of your life and being able to live the life that's meant for you. What if you knew this hunger in you to love, to create, to build, to design, to have, to hold, to give, to receive, to invent, to dream, to imagine, to know your life was destined to be extraordinary, wasn't a curse. It was life's desire for you to be great. What if you knew that somehow your own perfect timing for the meeting of chance and choice to make your life completely empowered with all of your heart's desires has brought you to this perfect place. What if you stood in that place of your life where you are so happy and trusting of what comes next? You know you are not alone, because you get into synchronicity with your own life's heartbeat. And this heartbeat vibrates you and the power of life you came from. The source, the divine, God. And this place you move into your life that was destined for you to be empowered with all the gifts you have that belong to you, and a world that's open to receive this offering from you and give back to you in magnified, magical ways. What if you were empowered with the secret edge of knowing? What if you were empowered so clearly with the truth of your own possibilities that not another minute went by that you were not rising up to the matching possibility already born in you to live beyond raising the bar of where you are today? What if you lived a life by design? What if you lived a life that's now turned up past 10 and is empowered at 11 because of that matching extra something that's now empowered in you? What if it was so clear in you, you naturally get pulled to your dreams? You become lived by your dreams. It's not by chance you know about Empower 11. However, it is by choice you can empower 11. Empower 11, beyond raising the bar, inspiring the way. Now is your time. Empower 11.